Thank you, everybody, for being here. Really excited to introduce our newest athletic director at Washington State University, Ann McCoy. We appreciate her being here. And it's funny to say introduce, especially to this crew. Ann has probably been here longer than most people in this room. Not all, but most people in this room. So we're excited to get some of the stories about how this all came to pass. I just want to, first of all, go over what this is going to be today. I do want to hear from President Kirk Schulz on the process of hiring Ann. Of course, we'll hear from Ms. McCoy as well. We will get a chance to get some questions, a Q&A from our media friends here, getting video of this event. And afterwards, members of the media, feel free to pull them aside for some one-on-one questions. But also, the rest of you here is a chance to meet and greet. Ask some questions yourselves of these people who are moving us into a very interesting chapter of Cougar athletics, but we're excited to see what's to come. For now, I would like to introduce President Kirk Schulz to give his thoughts on the hiring of Ann McCoy. President Schulz.
Thank you. Well, good afternoon, everybody. And just to start this off right, how about on the count of three, a go Cougs? 1, 2, 3. Go Cougs! All right. It's great to see so many folks out here today, so many folks, community members, former student athletes, our coaches, just people associated with the WSU community here in Pullman, Eastern Washington, across the state. It's really a pleasure for me to do our formal introduction of Ann McCoy as our now permanent athletic director. We'll talk a little bit later today when we do the Q&A about the process and why Ann and some of those things. But if I really look, as we were thinking about the next athletic director for moving WSU forward, I remember talking to Ann on the phone, and I was ready to go in Kirk sales mode about, hey, I need you, the Coug Nation needs you. And before I could start my spiel, Ann said, hey, I want this. I believe I'm the right person at the right time to do this job and to move Cougar athletics at WSU forward in this challenging time and environment. I just crumpled up my speech in the car and threw it away. I didn't need any of that. But I'm really thrilled that Ann was willing to step in. And when I said, hey, let's do this on an interim basis, and I know we got a whole lot that's ahead of you, I've been so impressed by her passion for Cougar athletics, her commitment to excellence at Washington State University. And I think Coach Dickert, kind of said it best. Largely, we want people who want to be at WSU. This isn't a stepping stone anywhere else. This is people who want to come in and lead and take us, win championships, and build excellence. And we've had that at WSU in the past. We're going to have it in the future with Ann as our permanent athletic director. So with that, got a little treat. So Ann, you got to come up here. Ann, there we go. Okay, they want to. Thank you. That might be the most help Dwayne Brelsert's ever given me doing this. I was like, why is he waving to me? Turn it around, dumbass. So anyway, with that, Ann, why don't you come up and make some comments?
Thank you. Well, first, I'd like to wish everyone good afternoon and welcome. So thrilled that so many people came to spend some of their afternoon with us on a beautiful sunny day here in Pullman. I would like to look forward to the visiting part and the meet and greet, but I hope you'll indulge me in a few thank yous and a few words, and then as the President and Matt both mentioned, some Q&A too. But I need to offer some thanks to a variety of people, and so I'll try to be brief, but it's important to me, so I appreciate you, like I said, indulging me. First, of course, to President Schulz and the Board of Regents, a sincere thank you for entrusting me with this amazing opportunity. Washington State University is truly a passion for me and a place that I've chosen to spend 23 years plus of my professional and personal life at. So I really want to thank President Schulz, of course, Noel, the Board of Regents, and everyone who has supported me going into this position on a permanent basis. I would also like to extend a hearty thank you to our talented faculty, staff, and students here at Washington State University. Washington State is truly a special place, and it's because of those folks, in addition to our donors, our fans, and our alums, who make this a place that's been so rewarding to be part of. The Pullman community, thank you. My husband, Brian, Taylor, and Jake, we've raised our family here in Pullman. Taylor was 18 months old when we moved here. Jake was born here at the hospital, and it's been a great place to raise our family, both through the school systems and in the community, and so sincere thanks to the city of Pullman. I guess I jumped ahead. I need to thank my family. When we moved to Pullman, my husband, Brian, put aside his career to be a stay-at-home dad, to support my career at Washington State and understanding that college athletics can be kind of a wild and unpredictable thing. And so to help support both myself professionally, but also our family, Brian dedicated himself to becoming a stay-at-home dad at that point, and I'd like to thank him. And of course, Taylor and Jake. And I can't talk too much about all of them or I'll get emotional. So we're just going to say quick thank you. I'm so proud of you guys and all of the support you've given. And again, truly allowed Washington State to become part of your lives as well. So thank you. I love you guys. I also need to extend a thank you to people who, although part of the larger Washington State University community, are my family at work on a daily basis, and those are the amazing coaches, staff, and student athletes that are part of Cougar Athletics. I look around and I see so many of you here, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate all of your passion, your dedication, striving for excellence, and just continuing to do all of the amazing things that you do. Over my 23 and a half years here, you know, there have been a lot of ups and a lot of downs. Not a lot. There have been a lot of ups and some downs, but for the most part, it's never been because of lack of dedication, lack of effort, lack of commitment, and that makes this such a special place to be and be part of on an everyday basis. And so part of my pitch to President Schulz was largely because of all of you and believing in what we have going here at Washington State and wanting to keep moving that forward. So, having concluded the thank you portion, other than anybody I forgot, and I thank you, I would just like to offer a couple of thoughts, and I know we'll cover more in the Q&A, but you know, largely at these types of events, someone comes in fresh, they've never been at the school, they offer a vision, and that's all wonderful. But I have to say, having a really unique perspective of having been here, I already have gotten to know all of the people in our department and on our campus. I've gotten to know many of our fans, donors, a lot of our, you know, student athletes. And so I feel like that gives me a unique perspective, I hope, to really hit the ground running with all of the unique and, you know, really wonderful opportunities we have before us. You know, conference affiliation, the elephant in the room. Like, I feel so excited about where Washington State University is right now. We are in a position where every one of our sports can continue to compete at a high level, compete for championships, to make everyone proud and to provide a phenomenal experience for our student athletes. Nothing has changed there. And so I just want to encourage everyone to support our teams and understand that we are going to be patient, we're going to be diligent. I've told some of you, I think this endeavor with conference affiliation is going to be a little like building a house. Right now, there's a lot of work going in behind the scenes, maybe underground, that not everybody can see. But sooner rather than later, you'll be both amazed and proud and excited for the structure that you see before you that will be Cougar Athletics of the future. So I just implore you to please continue to be patient, to have faith, and to know that while there may not be a lot of things that we're talking about really publicly right now, there are a lot of amazing things going on behind the scenes, not only with Washington State University, with Oregon State University, and certainly our phenomenal new commissioner of the Pac-12, Teresa Gould. So I just want to let you all know that and reassure you that, you know, just because we're not talking about things real publicly right now doesn't mean there's not a lot happening. So one of my other goals, I would say, going forward is really to secure our continued financial stability. I think that we need to be really good really good stewards of our resources and really look at all possible ways that we can generate revenue in support of our endeavor as Cougar Athletics. And I think we owe it to ourselves, to our fans, to our community, to the university, to really do whatever we can to explore all financial resources, to have the financial sustainability we need for the opportunities mentioned relative to conference affiliation. But lastly, I'd like to focus on the one thing that is most within our control, and that is continuing to be the amazing university and the amazing department that we have always been. We will be able to continue to offer a world-class education to our student athletes. We will continue to offer a world-class student-athlete experience. We have the most amazing student-athlete resources that Washington State University has been doing long before it was popular and the thing to do throughout the NCAA. We have always committed to our well-being of our student athletes, whether it be academic support, mental health resources, strength and conditioning, nutrition, and on and on and on, but doing whatever we can to make our student athletes as successful as they can be, and that doesn't change and something well within our control. So we're really excited about that. The other thing, along with that, my priority to the aforementioned Cougar family is to make sure this is a wonderful place that people want to work, that people want to be part of, and that we continue to attract and retain the highest quality coaches, staff, and student athletes to be part of the Cougar Athletic family going forward. You know, we are just a very special place, and I don't know how to describe it other than that, but those of you in this room all know that. You're here because of that. And I can't tell you how much it means to me that we are a unified group of people that are a force to be reckoned with. And I think there's nothing that we can't do if we believe it ourselves. And I know that there are so many people out there in Cougar Nation who believe it. And there are also some that are just not quite sure yet. They're a little nervous about what just happened, and they're uncertain. But I am here to tell you in front of our faculty, our staff, our president, everyone in this room and watching, that we are in an amazing place. We continue to be an amazing place, and we are going to continue doing amazing things. And we want you all there to be part of it. We want you watching our games, whatever platforms they are on. We want you in every one of our events. Whether it's home or away. You know, if you live somewhere the Cougs are coming to, we want to see you. I can't tell you how important it is to our student athletes when they come out of their respective locker rooms and they see the crimson and the gray and people cheering for them in the stands. We need you in every way possible right now, because as much as we can control continuing to be a Power 5 athletic department, we need to show that our fan base is that as well, and we need you. We need you more than ever. And so without further ado, I'm going to share one thing that I shared with our staff shortly after I was named interim. And I joked with them on the front end that I'm not a big quote person, but here it goes. Now this is twice that you guys will have heard this, but it's a quote that actually my daughter first shared with me long, long ago during competition, and it's one I love so much and I think is so appropriate for us right now. And it's the quote about fate and the warrior, and fate whispering to the warrior that you cannot withstand the storm, and the warrior turning back and saying, I am the storm. And I think we need to remember that right now. Cougar Athletics, we are the storm. We are not worried about fate. We are the warrior, we are the storm. And I really would encourage everyone to have that mentality and that mindset, because again, we need you more than ever. I'm so thrilled for this opportunity, and without further ado, go Cougs.
Well, this time we want to open it up for some questions from the media as well. Jim is here with a microphone, our microphone model. So if you have a question, raise your hand, and Jim will bring you the mic.
Hey, Kirk, how early on in the process was Ann kind of on your radar, and what made her the right fit for the job?
Well, I think I had the opportunity to work with Ann on a lot of different issues with intercollegiate athletics just over the years during both Bill's tenure as AD and Pat's tenure as AD. And she was the first person that came to mind when we had Pat's departure. And so she was on the radar screen really, really early. And I have really appreciated her willingness to, aggressively step in. We had to hire a basketball coach. I mean, we had some things that could not wait around a couple weeks. And so I did not have a long list of individuals. I wanted to make sure we gave Ann that opportunity to step in, see what she could do, and I think the results speak for themselves.
So as mentioned, you're stepping in, replacing Pat Chung. And, obviously, you're in a different situation altogether from what Pat was in. It's a unique time in WSU history. But are there any ways that your sort of style or emphases will be different from his, or do you want to compare and contrast kind of how you'll run the job compared with Pat?
Sure. Thanks for the question. Yeah, I mean, Pat did a lot of amazing things when he was here at Washington State University, but I would say from a personality standpoint, or maybe even just a leadership standpoint, I think there are some differences. And part of it is, again, just stepping into the role, having been here, and knowing all of the folks, largely in this room. And so I think my leadership style is, I'm very people-oriented, I would say, very relationship-driven. That's very important to me. But relationships that are real and based on, just kind of no beating around the bush. And that's not to say that's not how Pat was. It's just more about who I am. And so I feel like it's really an opportunity to be a fresh start in a way. I think our department has been through a lot this last year through, circumstances largely outside of their control, our control as a university. And I feel like right now, this is the perfect opportunity to really see this as a fresh start and a clean slate, and maybe just, the impetus that we all needed to know it was okay to turn the page and move forward.
And you're making a little bit of history here, being the first female athletic director at this school. Can you talk about how much pride you take in that and what that means to you?
Yeah, I take a lot of pride in it. I mean, we've had a lot of really wonderful, strong women that have been at Washington State University in athletics before me, some of whom are in this room. And, there was a women's athletic director when the departments were split a long time ago, but to be the first female athletic director of a combined department, and really during this time means a lot to me, primarily because I think for anybody sitting out there who has a chance to be the first at something, it's important to know that those things do happen, and through hard work and through dedication and having a dream and a goal, I think that those things can happen. So I'm both honored and really inspired by so many people, prior to me, both men and women, that have taught me how to be the athletic administrator I am today.
And you were here for 23 years. Did you ever think that I wasn't going to get an opportunity to do this? And if that was the case, do you have to make sure you don't go too fast?
Oh, that's an interesting question. So I say with all honesty that when Jim Sturck left and when Bill Moose left, being the next athletic director at Washington State was not something on my radar, based on where I felt I was at in areas I could still grow in, and a lot of other parameters, and really, to be honest, who was right for Washington State University at those particular times. I've always been one to serve and to be willing to do, that which is needed. And at the time, I felt like when they brought in Bill was what we needed at the time, and when Pat was hired, he was what we needed at the time. And so this time when Pat left, I was like, oh, wow, I want to be the next athletic director. And then I was kind of like, where'd that come from? It was an interesting dynamic. And so, I think there would be a tendency to try to, I'm like that anyway, probably, is like, let's just get going. Let's, do what we can as the interim and what's appropriate. But now that the interim tag is removed, there are some additional things that I think, even just from a timing standpoint, with middle of the summer, the fall quickly approaching. So I think it'll be a balance, but I'm not much of a let a moss, grow on me type of person anyway, but really was not like lying in wait, to be honest, just really was at peace with what my role was needed at that point in time.
And now that you're in the role, what's priority number one, you would say?
I think we've done a lot of work over the last couple months in the interim role, really establishing, kind of just a reconnection as a department, and then now really a reconnection with campus and a reconnection with our alums and our donors. And I've tried to do a lot of that on the front end because, to be honest, if I was the next athletic director or not, I felt like that was important to do for the future of Cougar athletics. And so I think at this point now, other than the, just really looking at a lot of our, financial resources and stability, really, continuing to work on the conference affiliation piece. That's undeniably the top priority, but we do have some time. And so I think we have some time to be patient and really assess what those options are. But, more than anything, I think, too, just continuing to connect with our staff, our coaches, and our student athletes as they get back into town, and just really assure them and reassure them, that Cougar Athletics is not only here to stay, but better than ever.
We have some questions. Well, I have a couple, if that's okay. Hopefully they're easy for you. I want to talk to you, Ann, first, just over the past few months. Obviously, you've done a whole lot of canvassing the state, talking to donors. You mentioned maybe not loving the whole face the media part of it, but we've stuck plenty of microphones in your face in the last few months. How has that been different, and what have you learned about Cougar Nation in that time?
Oh boy, the media part has not been bad. I've enjoyed all the media folks I've visited with, to be honest, and they've been incredibly supportive. I think the tough part, to some degree, is just the uncertainty. You know, I'm much more of a this is how things are, this is what we know, and so that has been challenging to really reassure people without a lot of details right now. And so I think my focus then has been, again, on all of those things we can control. And the takeaway I've had from all of that is that Cougar Nation is excited for the future. You know, I think that when they listen to some of the naysayers, they think, oh, should I be worried? Should I be wondering more about this? But then as they kind of, take a deep breath and realize that so many things that have made us such a wonderful place are still intact, I think they breathe a collective sigh of relief and feel good, and realize it's okay to feel good and not listen, to their neighbors that may be, from a different school or not a Cougar or don't understand what Washington State University is all about. And so I think that's been my takeaway is that, well, I've always known that we are a resilient, passionate, amazing group. Just the level of that and kind of the unbridled enthusiasm has just been really heartwarming.
Has that been the toughest part of this tour, is maintaining that optimism among the Cougar fan base?
I don't think it really has been. I think, there's that hesitation for a minute to see, like, am I worried? And when they see, well, I'm not worried, or she's not worried, okay, I'm not going to be worried either, So I don't think, I'm an not eternally, my family might say I have my moments, but I'm generally optimistic. I'm generally an optimistic person. And so I think when people realize it's okay to be optimistic, it's been really good.
And President Schulz, I want to follow up on a comment you made. You called Ann the right person at the right time. I wondered if you could dig into what you meant by that.
Yeah, I think when I was thinking about what we needed for our next athletic director, and I look at our head coaches and our staff that's out there, and I look and say, what has made them successful at Washington State University? And the one thing that I would say about all of them is they've learned how to turn Pullman and being in Pullman into a strength. Not something that we apologize for, but saying, hey, you're going to get a unique experience here. We're going to treat you differently than those other schools. We got great education, fantastic facilities. We're going to win championships, all those pieces. And you say, guess what? In this time, when we're in sales mode about what our conference affiliation is going to look like and those kind of things, I need an athletic director who knows Pullman and our athletic program backwards and forwards, that's been in the room helping us select coaches, that's been in the room on strategy on where we're going to go for facilities, what types of things do we need to be out there raising money for, what things do we need to make sure that our coaches and student athletes have everything they need to be successful. And so that was certainly one thing. The second, and I give Pat a lot of credit for this, we really took our fundraising to a different level under Pat's leadership. We're not going to stop doing that. We're not going to take a back seat and say, hey, we don't have to worry about raising money anymore. We need somebody that can do that as well. But, raising money, everybody sometimes thinks there's some magic piece to it. A lot of it is vision and shoe leather work and sitting down with people, having a conversation, and talking about ways mutually they can support Washington State University. And guess what? You got to know a place to be able to do that well. And then third, we have such a great group of leaders at WSU. We have a great group of women leaders at WSU. And I think when we talk about diversity and what happens is sometimes you got to take somebody who's got all the skills and you got to give them that opportunity to step into that spotlight and show what they can do. So you add all those together, that list went from multiple names down to one. And Ann was on there, and I'm so pleased she's been willing to take this and move us forward in a time of great uncertainty, but we got the right leader that's going to keep us moving positively forward and continue to make sure our student athletes have a stellar experience And that later in life, 30 years from now, 40 years from now, you ask them, what are the best decisions you made? They're going to say, going to Washington State University was right at the top of my list.
And that sounds a lot like a recruiting pitch, and I know that you've heard some of those, having children who've either gone here or have gone through the recruiting process as well. How does that influence you as an athletic director as you start to make some of those pitches?
Yeah, it does provide me an interesting perspective, I think, to be honest. As you alluded to, our daughter Taylor was a student athlete at Washington State University, a member of the women's swim team, and she left with 2 degrees because she was over the COVID period, so she ended up having 5 years of eligibility, left with 2 degrees, a bachelor's and a master's, left with 2 school records, but more than anything, a phenomenal experience with a lot of great, friends, colleagues, resources, and things that, will make her successful for her entire life. Going through the recruiting period with her was a little different, not only timing-wise, but also Washington State University has a women's swimming team, and she was, really focused on staying west and really enjoying, kind of what Washington State had to offer. Having just gone through this with my son this past year, also a swimmer, Washington State University does not have a men's swimming program, and so really listening to all of the schools that he met with and talked with and thinking of all the things that went into Taylor's decision, it really reminds me how important it is to the families of prospective student athletes about the family that those kids are going into, that they are going to have coaches that take care of them and care about them as people, not just as athletes or, times or statistics, that they care about them and that they have the resources not only when the times are good, but when the times are bad. And so I think just really prioritizing those resources, but also those assurances for prospective student athletes and their families. The student athletes are going to look at what they look at, but the families certainly are looking at things through their own lens as well, as my kids can attest to, me, having gone through it. And but it also puts me in the firsthand knowledge of it's a lot of hard work to be a Division I student athlete, and the amount of time and the commitment and the support of the coaches and the staff, but also all of the resources, but also the hugely important piece, which is their academic career. Those are all very important pieces, and so really learning how to showcase those and not to take for granted things I think should just, people should know we do, but really communicating those, I think, and those are some of the things that highlighted for me.
Thank you very much. All right, one more question, and I'm going to kind of go off topic here before we separate, allow people to get their one-on-ones. President Schulz, you made an announcement recently. You will be retiring come next summer. I'm curious what you're going to miss the most about working with Cougar Athletics.
The stress of getting to the end of the game and, we're down by a couple and just got to remember to have faith in our student athletes and our coaches. It'll be all right. I've gotten to know coaches and student athletes across 2 land-grant institutions as president. And if I reflect back, so many people want to be excellent, whether that's athletically and academically, and they want to go do great things in their life. Whether that's we always worry about professional sports, but so many of our student athletes are going to be teachers and engineers and all these different things in life. And I think I'll miss the opportunity to be part of that journey in the same way that you do as a president when you get to know people, when you get to see them in the hallway, congratulate them after a win, console them after a loss. You're not an integral part of all those things. I'll be a fan. I'll still be out there cheering, yelling at the TV, and discussing officiating with my wife. But it won't be quite the same as doing that. But I'm a Coug for life and look forward to continued success under Ann's leadership and look forward to seeing some championship trophies hoisted and saying, hey, I was a part of that.
Well, thank you very much. All I heard there was, Jake, just less stressful fourth quarters, please.
I didn't look at Jake.
They're all here. Well, thank you very much. I want to thank you all for being here today. Like I said, we all have a chance for a meet and greet in the back of the room. Members of the media are able to chat with Ann and President Schulz here at the front of the podium. A great reminder today that cheering less for the Cougs is not the solution and not what anybody wants out of this. A hearty go Cougs to everybody out there who happens to hear this today. And rather than deal with the fight song music and everything like that, how about we just get one big go Cougs? Ready? 3, 2, 1. Go Cougs! All right, thank you.